Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, my name is Galuh Dwi Gustian Hidayat, and my student's number is 19212 and 18. This session, I would like to explain about the proposal research. The title is Building Students' Digital Literacy Skills through Google Classroom. Okay, first slide is there are so many aspects. The first is introduction. In introduction, there is background. Background explain about in this era of globalization, technology is becoming closer with many factors, including education. In the field of education, it must produce the linear outcomes that can compete the real world of work. The phenomenon obligates each individual to have the skill of using technology to support all the activities on a long-term scale. For example, it will help to get insight, knowledge, and information. That skill is called digital literacy, as mentioned by Western Sydney University Journal. That digital literacy means having the skill you to live, learn, and work in society where communication to access to information is increasingly through digital technologies. Okay, the second point is research question. Can Google Classroom build students' digital literacy? We move to the third point because there are have so correlation between the second point to third point. Operational definition of digital literacy is the skill to use to operate technology and get the benefit from it, such as to interpret the information and help in many aspect of real life activities. Another opinion emphasizes that digital literacy is the ability to use software and hardware technology and interpret information from digital device effectively and efficiently in various contents such as the need to support academic achievement, career, and daily life. The next point is aims. The objective of this study to investigate the use of Google Classroom to build student digital literacy skill at the 10th grade of SMA Negeri 4 Tasikmalaya or high school high school for Tasikmalaya. The aims explain about how the objective the study to investigate the use of Google Classroom to the student for digital literacy. The next point is the use of research. There are three aspects of the use of research. The first one is for the author. The study can provide insight and knowledge about digital literacy and its benefit among teacher and students. The number two is for teacher. As reference, the teaching using Google Classroom can both student. Digital literacy is important skill in this current era, whether it's about the development of digital knowledge of competence. The last aspect of this, the use of research is for readers. Readers explain to provide knowledge that digital literacy skill is not taboo issue and it needs to be taught to the student. in this current era of globalization. This study also can be a reference material for reader and in the sample of education like teachers, students, and lecturers. The next point is literature review. There are two aspects of literature review. The first is definition of digital literacy and definition of Google Classroom. The first one is definition of digital literacy. Digital literacy is a personal skill to use the digital technology, understand to interpret the information. Many students have shown that high level of digital literacy skill positively affect the high output of learning outcome from student. Richard Lanham, 1995, said that explained that literacy was extended is semantic reach from meaning the ability to read and write to know meaning the ability to understand information. The next point is definition of Google Classroom. Google Classroom is a tool to facilitate teacher in the form of online teaching and learning. It's like the class subtitle of conventional teaching and learning. It can be very helpful for the teacher to manage the teaching and learning activities, to give assignment, provide feedback, and also can be helpful for the student to easily obtain the material. Let's move to the next slide is research methods. This research used experimental design with two groups include experimental group and control group. The student from the experimental group got the treatment intensively in every meeting and teacher used Google Classroom as a learning medium. Next slide, we are going to explain about population and sample. The population of this research are the 10 grade students of SMA Negeri 4 Tasikmalaya. To select the sample, this research use purposive sampling technique. Two classes will be chosen, each class consisting of 30 students. First class as the control group and the second class as the experimental group. 60 students will be chosen as the sample because they have the same English schedule. Each group, experimental and control, consists of 20 female students and 10 female students. The time and place of the research is going to be the research will conduct the study in 2021. The next slide will be explained about research producers. To start the teaching and learning process, the teacher had to create class at Google Classroom, and the student had to join the class with the class code that was shared by the teacher. The student should follow the learning process through Google Classroom. Teacher had to submit the material at the Google Classroom pre-activities. Teacher will introduce the topic of the material and let the student join the Google Classroom to obtain material. Students try to obtain the material from Google Classroom. They will choose one of the texts that is posted on the Google Classroom based on their interest or do the quiz on the text. The next point is data collection and data analysis. To collect the data, the questionnaire will be distributed to sample at the end of the study. The result of the questionnaire was analyzing using a first sample t-test to know the difference between materials, experimental, and control groups. The data collection is closed-ended question which is the respondent have to select the single option. The closed-ended question are into the type. There are important question, like question, distromos question, and rating scales question. The data analysis is going to be the results of the questionnaire was analyzed using FAIR sample to test to know the difference between experimental and control groups. Okay, I think that's enough for the presentation about the experimental research. The title is the Building Student Digital Literacy Skills for Google Classroom. Thank you so much for the attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.